Good morning and welcome to Worldwide Wisdom. Today is a very, very special day. It's an extraordinary spiritual opportunity, which I would like to bring to your attention as to how you can tap into some tremendous energy today for extraordinary blessing. But before I do that, I want to touch on the parasha for a moment. Touch on the parasha. We've finally reached the end of the cliffhanger when Jacob finally hears that his son is in fact alive. It's amazing. Joseph's been gone from the age of 17 until 39. 22 years it's been. 17 till 39. He's languished in the dungeon for 12 years. He's been prime minister for 9 years. 7 years of plenty, 2 years of famine, right? And Jacob finally hears V'chi'od Yosef chai, that Joseph is still alive. So it says in the parasha, V'techi Ruach Yaakov Avihem, and the spirit of Jacob, their father, lifts up. It says, imagine your son is alive after 22 years.
He's 147.
He's 147, yeah. Now, later in the parasha, Jacob finally makes it down to Egypt. Vayomer Yisrael and Yosef, when he finally meets his son, he says, Israel says to Joseph, Israel is Jacob, right? Amuta apam, now I'm ready to die. After I see your face, that in fact you are alive. He already knew that he's alive. Right? He already knew that he was alive. And the question, therefore, the Rebbe asks is, why does he say, now I'm ready to die in peace? Seeing is believing.
All the time he wasn't alive.
I think it's more of a colloquial idiom.
Remember, he always felt that Joseph was alive.
Right.
Never
How did you know that he never gave up? How did you know that?
Because it says it.
Because he wouldn't.
Well, he was in depression.
That's right.
He was in depression, and God didn't reveal himself to him for many years, because God doesn't reveal himself to people that are depressed. God only descends upon a person who's in a state of joy. On the flip side, he had a clue that Joseph was alive because he knew that the law of the world is that the dead are slowly forgotten from the heart. Did you know that? The dead, have you experienced that? That when somebody dies, they slowly get forgotten from the heart. But if they're not actually dead, then they don't get forgotten from the heart.
That's scary.
So when he realized that he was inconsolable, he realized maybe he's not alive. Maybe he's not actually dead. Anyways, so the Rebbe asked the question, what is Jacob saying when he says, now I'm ready to die? Like what he didn't know now and didn't know until now that Joseph is still alive? The Rebbe explains that of course he knew that he was alive. But there was something else that he did not know until he saw his face. He knew that he was alive. He knew that he was prime minister of Egypt. He knew that he was the CFO of the world's superpower at the time. And he even had arranged for a yeshiva to be opened up on his way down south. A yeshiva to be opened up through the efforts of Yehuda. Why did he not ask the yeshiva to be opened up through Yosef? Because he wasn't sure if Yosef was in that state of mind. He just didn't know if Joseph was in the frame of mind, if he was still a frum Jew anymore. I mean, think about it. The guy was lost for 22 years since he was 17 years old. If that woman, Potiphera, or Potiphar's wife,
right?
Whatever. It's complicated because he was transgender.
Right.
So.
He turned into a
woman. So if he had won, yeah. Both of them were after him. Can you imagine? His master and his master's wife were after him.
Happens,
I want to tell you something that's jarring. You ready? I heard in the name of the Rebbe Maharash.
Yes.
What?
Yes.
What?
You
Yes.
said you heard the name. I said yes.
No. I said I heard in the name of.
of.
I heard in the name of the Rebbe Maharash. This is going to be a little jarring, guys. Be ready for this. Ready for a jar?
I think he's not used to this.
This should probably not be on YouTube.
It's okay.
Okay.
We're here already.
I heard in the name of the Rebbe Maharash that if an atheist would not have a male organ, he wouldn't be an atheist.
He did not have a
Male
organ. An atheist without a male organ is what?
Would not be an atheist.
Would not be an atheist.
Now I want you to process that. No, hang on. Just stop a second. I want you to process this. Just process that. What it means is it's talking about sexual drive, right? It's talking about testosterone. Okay. If not for testosterone,
Yeah.
there wouldn't be the atheist wouldn't be as passionate an atheist. Now let me develop that a little idea a little bit, right?
Please do.
Because you have no idea what I'm talking
Well,
about,
you
right?
don't need an external organ. You need it's internal.
Yeah, that's
Reality.
figurative.
Science, okay.
So the idea is that, I mean, just to the association is jarring because like what's one going to do with the other? Like what's sexuality going to do with belief in God? Because belief in God or the rejection of God is far more emotional than it is intellectual, and we know that for a fact. I mean, think about it. The guys that say I don't believe in God because where was God in the Holocaust? It's not an intellectual question, folks. It's an emotional protest. It's not even a question. It's not a question. It's an emotional defiance. That's what it is when somebody says that, right? Where was God when my first wife was dying from cancer at the age of 23 years old, right? That's a protest. It's not a intellectual conclusion. Why are you looking at me funny?
Why is that emotional and not intellectual?
Because they're not asking a question to which they would like to have an answer.
Because the answer cannot be determined. You can't ever answer the question, where is God? An intellectual question has an answer, an empirical answer. Things like that, they're based on emotion.
So look, this is meditative material here, but what I'm trying to say is that the rejection of God is far more emotional than it is intellectual. It's very difficult for a true intellectual to reject God is impossible. And this is why I say that atheism is irrational. Atheism is irrational. In the same way that you wouldn't believe me, okay, that this book over here was thrown, we took just many letters and we put them into a cement mixer. And when they came out, it came out like this. You wouldn't believe me, right? Who would believe you when you told him that this entire universe happened all by itself? It just came out by itself. It's irrational. It's non-scientific to believe that there's such a thing as a cause as an effect without a cause. There's no such thing. It's not scientific. Now, the fact that science can't put God into a test tube, right, is a different problem, right? That becomes emotional because that's when scientists say, well, if God is not coming into my laboratory, then we don't believe in God. That's already an egotistical approach. That's already emotional, right? But a true intellectual says, I don't understand everything, and not everything fits into my little laboratory. And therefore, there are things that don't fit into my little equations. And it could be that there's a God who is greater than my equations, right? Anyways, I'm digressing a little bit here because of this topic. But my point is, what I'm trying to go to here is let me just reach my point. I'm sorry. Is that the Rebbe Marash said that it's testosterone that leads people astray, spiritually astray.
Of course.
And if God would not have infused within human beings such a tremendous dose of sexual drive, then we would be far less rebellious against God, right? Which is why the rise of the sexual revolution, the birth control, which allowed men and women to just have what's called casual sex, was a huge problem for faith, because until then, I mean, sex came with actual consequences, right? Like pregnancy and childbirth and family and obligations and responsibilities. But then it became just a recreational pastime. So Jacob was afraid that Joseph would have succumbed to what?
Oh, no, I'm just responding to my friend.
I mean, it's better than playing handball. It worked out better,
Jacob was worried.
Handball.
Jacob was worried that Joseph had succumbed to the depravity of Egyptian culture and society. That's what he was worried about. So when he comes to Egypt, he's like, I don't know if that's my son anymore. Okay, fine. He's alive. Wonderful. But is he actually still alive? Is Joseph my son? Is he alive as Joseph the prime minister? Or is he alive as Joseph the Jew? Right? And now when he sees him, and what does he do when he sees him? Joseph cries. He cries over the destruction of the temple. Well, prime minister of Egypt. worrying about the destruction, the future destruction of the temple. Now he declares, Od Yosef beni chai. The moment he sees his son and he realizes his emotions and why he is getting emotional, he then says, Od Yosef beni chai. My son Joseph is alive. Not just Joseph. It's Joseph, my son. Exactly.
So
And now,
seeing is believing, because he saw that he was still up.
yeah, but it's not just seeing is believing. He heard already, but now he was seeing. He knew that he was alive. He just didn't know if his body and his soul was alive or just his body was alive. Because Joseph could easily have become an assimilated Jew in no time.
Very easy.
Bear in mind, the Greeks of Hanukkah forced the Jews to engrave upon the horns of their oxen that I have no portion in the God of Israel, which is a very odd place to engrave anything, right? I mean, who's reading the horns of the oxen? So I teach it as it's the bumper sticker of the day, right? But I saw a magnificent interpretation from the Megala Amukos, who's a Kabbalistic commentary. He says like this. He says, when you read the end of Parshas Vayichi, when Jacob was blessing all of his 12 sons, he blesses Joseph with all of them were given animalistic representations. Joseph was blessed as the ox. Joseph was blessed as Bechor Shreiroi Hadarloi. He was the brute strength of the ox and the beauty of the Re'em, which is a form of an ox, right? So he has all the qualities, the strength and the beauty and the leadership of the ox, right? So Joseph is the ox. So the Megala Amoki says that the numerical value of the word Antiochus, who was the king of the Seleucid Greeks at the time of the Hanukkah story, Antiochus has the same numerical value as Yosef. Because Antiochus wanted the Jews to be like Joseph. He said, you Jews need to not be segregated. You need to be integrated. Remember the Hanukkah story, right? They wanted the Jews to assimilate, to be like everybody else. Don't be separate. Don't study your own Torah. Learn what everybody else is learning. Go to college. Go to Yale. Go to Columbia U, right? You should be like the rest of us. And so he wanted them to engrave on the horns of the oxen because oxen is Joseph. He was saying to them, be like Joseph, be like me, Antiochus. Be a man of the world. Don't be separated, aloof, abstract, above, separated. Don't be like the oil that floats to the top. Be the Jew that integrates. Now, Antiochus misinterpreted Joseph.
Yeah.
And Jacob also worried about Joseph. Because when you reach that kind of power, then power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. This is what Jacob was worried about. Was Joseph still going to be my son? And my question to you folks is, how do you react to your tests of wealth? You might have grown up in the home. I want you to think of your mother's kitchen for a moment. And I want you to think of the food that was not served in your mother's kitchen. You know what I'm talking about? And I want you to think about the food, which may be in the kitchen of your children. Maybe, or maybe not. I want you to think about that for a moment. And how have you endured the test of Joseph? You've reached power. Your mother's kitchen probably was the size of your powder room. Exactly. Good one. Your mother's kitchen probably the size of your powder room, and your powder room is probably the size of your mother's master bedroom, right? Right? Okay. So think about that. Where are we going with this, right? Has the test of wealth corrupted you to the point that Jacob would be disappointed in you? To say, mein Kind, where are you? I'm glad you're alive. But what happened to my son? Right? I want you to think about that for a moment. The purpose of our descent into this world is to be able to engage in this world, to be able to be part of this world like the oil. This is the theme of Hanukkah, of the oil. What does oil do? Oil goes into every nook and cranny. You know, into every little door hinge, into every little bicycle chain, right? Oil goes everywhere, but it never forgets who it is. You mix it with other liquid, always rises. It never forgets who it is. This is the debate between Antiochus and Jacob. Antiochus says Joseph assimilated. Look, he was the prime minister. Jacob says, no. He's my son. Yosef, my son, is still alive. Every one of us is descended down to this world. We're tested. We're being tested. God is giving you a lot of money to see what the money's going to do to you. Are you going to be the master of the money? Or is the money going to be the master over you? How many people do you know that are servants to their cell phones? You don't know anybody? He's pointing fingers. I want you to think about that. You know the couple. You know how sad it is to go to a restaurant and you watch these married couples.
That's so awful.
We got a restaurant.
They sit there on their phones, not talking, not communicating. On
Maybe,
their phones.
maybe they're texting each other. I don't know. Maybe they're
He's married 25 years.
nah. They're married 2 years. It's young people too.
People dating do not do that.
Dating. Oh, dating. Okay, fine. Fair enough. Dating. They don't do that. That's right. Right. But think about that for a moment. Think about that. You're talking to your child. Your child is sharing with you something important. They want to tell you about the butterfly that they just painted, and you're like, "Oh, I'm getting a call. I don't know who I'm getting a call from. I mean, maybe it's somebody who wants to give me a $45,000 loan, because of as long as I transfer $200 to their Nigerian bank account. I mean, you never know. I got to take this call, kid. I'm sorry. We're pathetic. Think about it. We have so much resources available to us, and we're losing our soul, guys. We went down to Egypt, but don't let Egypt control you. You got to be the master of Egypt. You got to be the Joseph. You're going to be the prime minister of Egypt. Don't allow your cell phone to control you. Don't allow your money to control you. You got to be the man of your house. Are you the man of your house? Or are you the wimp of your house? Remember Tevye? And Mickey, with all due respect,
I'm the king of myself.
with all due respect, I want to comment on that. So Mickey's one to say that he always has the last word.
Which is yes.
On things that don't matter.
Yeah. He always has the last word, Mickey says, in his marriage. He always says, yes, dear. Now,
That's right.
Now, I want to comment on that, Mickey. I want to say something on that for a second, right? No, I think a lot of modern husbands do that. They surrender to their wives. Smart husbands.
My wife and I, we made a deal on the day we got married. I would make all the important decisions, and she would make all the unimportant decisions. And in 47 years, we never had an important decision that had to be made.
So I have a different version of that story. No, I have a different version of that story, Rob. Rob, so the different version is that the husband is, sorry, the rabbi is interviewing the couple. And how's your marriage? We're doing great. We never fight. You never fight. For this reason, because at the beginning of our marriage, we decided that she's going to be in charge of all the unimportant decisions, all the little ones. I'm going to be in charge of the big ones. Really? Says so the rabbi says, tell me, what are the small decisions that she's in charge of? She's in charge of little stuff like, how where the kids go to school, where we buy, which house we buy, where we live, how we spend our money. These are the little decisions she's in charge of. Really? So what are the big decisions you're in charge of? I'm in charge of peace between Russia and Ukraine. I'm in charge of peace in the Middle East.
I'm in charge of the TV remote.
No, that's little decisions.
That is a very
So,
good
but I want to get back to Mickey because Mickey's onto something over here. Mickey's onto something big here. So when Mickey says he has the last word, folks, I want to. Who was it that said girly men?
I said what?
girly men.
Was that Schwarzenegger?
Arnold
Oh, I know
Schwarzenegger.
What did he say that? What was he talking about when he said that?
It was on Saturday Night Live.
No,
What was he referring to?
That's what he did.
No.
Oh, he was talking in terms of strength, physical strength.
Hankin from it was on Girly Men.
So he wasn't talking like
It wasn't
emotionally.
really him, so it was him.
No.
Fine, whatever, keep it. So I just want to say that, guys, to be a man means that you've got to be able to lead from the front and not lead from the back, right? You got to be able to lead from the front. You got to be able to set the emotional and spiritual tone of the household. What's that?
You got a call from the
No, I just got a meeting. So, hey, no, guys, I want to tell you this. I want to tell you this. Very important. Very important. That to be a man means that you're leading, you're creating, you're setting the tone in the home. In other words, you come home and you say, guys, we're a Jewish home, okay? And there's certain things that we don't tolerate in this household, right? For example, if it's Friday night, we don't do the cell phones. We don't do the blaring TV. We don't drive on a Friday night, right? You establish ground rules in the house. TMI. All right, fine. So folks, in other words, Mickey, I'm not necessarily disagreeing with you. Do you know what I mean? About a man needing to respect his wife. But I think that we're running the risk. We're running the risk. You have to respect your wife, but you always have to remember who's in charge. You got to be the alpha male. What would happen in a pride of lions? Okay, what happened in a pride of lions if the alpha male was constantly asking his females, "No, so what do you want to do today?"
The female does control it.
Not really. No. She just does the shopping. The female lions, they just do the shopping. That's all they do, right? But when he roars, everybody listens. Okay, and you know what happens? Now people ask me, Rabbi, why do you have this scrawny beard? Why do you have this scrawny beard? And I'm like, this is my mane, folks.
Azoi.
This is my mane. I'm the alpha male, okay? And you know what happens when the lion, the alpha male, has his beard removed? You know what he looks like?
Azoi.
He looks like a female,
That's why
right?
they have beards.
So stop behaving like the female. In other words, you've got to be able to set the stage. Especially if you know off the record. But anyways,
He should have
okay.
been
So,
off the record.
so guys, I just want to wrap it up.
You better hope your wife's not listening.
I just want to wrap it up here by saying, closing up here, that I just want to wrap it up. So Jacob comes in and he notices that Joseph is down in Egypt and he's still alive, not only physically, but also spiritually. We have descended into this world and we've been granted so many gifts from God. You've been granted a beautiful wife and a beautiful car, more than one car, and more than one golf club, and more than one house, and so many resources. What are you doing with it? Are you letting that stuff overwhelm you, or are you overwhelming it? You be the man, don't be the... Yeah, that's what I meant to say. Exactly. Now, in closing, I just want to say, I'm not even going to get to that. Forget it. I'm not going to get to that part. So I just want to close over here and say that, yes, I think that it's important for us to remember that we've got to, we're on a mission. And don't allow yourself to forget that. That's it. Have a great day, everybody. Shalom.
Everyone's gonna go.